For the first exercise, we have the deadlift. For the setup, stand shoulder width apart and with your arms straight, grab the bar. Grab the bar shoulder width apart with your back flat. For the upward phase, lift the bar off the ground, keeping the bar very close to the legs the whole way up. Once the bar passes your knees, extend the hips until standing straight up with your arms fully extended. For the downward phase, flex the knees and hips and lower the bar to the floor, keeping the back straight during all parts of the rep. For breathing, breathe in and hold through the upward phase and exhale during the eccentric. Repeat this for all reps. For the biomechanics, the deadlift occurs in the sagittal plane, and the hips and knees both go through flexion and extension. The muscles used in the deadlift are the gluteus maximus, semimembranosus, semitendinosus, biceps femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, vastus medialis, rectus femoris. No spotters needed for this exercise. 3 cues. The first cue is chest up, to get the chest up high and not looking down. Second is butt down, to prevent excess stress on the lower back by having your hips come up too fast. And the third cue is stand tall. This reminds them to stand up straight and not overextend or underextend your hips during the lockout portion of the rep. 3 sources of error commonly seen from the deadlift. The first one is slouched over with your head looking down. So the cue of chest up keeps your body in the upright position for doing the reps. The second source of error is your hips coming up too early, which puts stress on your lower back. So the cue of butt down prevents the excess stress on your back. And the third error is overextending the hips. So the cue of stand tall ensures that they stand straight up and tall and doesn't overextend into a bad position. For the leg extension, for the setup, sit down on the machine with your back firmly against the pad, with the foot pad right above the ankles and your hands firmly grasping the handles. For the upward phase, extend the knees until fully locked out and parallel to the ground, not moving any other part of the body. For the downward phase, control the eccentric, flexing the knees until the foot pad is back to the starting position, keeping the butt on the seat. For the breathing, breathe in and hold during the upward phase and exhale on the downward. Repeat this for all reps. For the biomechanics, this occurs in the sagittal plane. Your knees go through flexion and extension. The muscles used are the vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, vastus medialis, and the rectus femoris. No spotters needed for this exercise. 3 cues for the leg extension. The first is pull handles. Pull down on the handles to keep your butt in the seat. The second is lock out. Make sure your knees fully extend for a full range of motion. And the third is control descent. Control the foot pad back to the starting position. 3 sources of error on this exercise. The first is your butt coming off. So the cue of pull the handles makes sure that you pull your butt down and into the seat. The second source of error is not going all the way up. So the cue of lockout reminds them to get full range of motion. And the third is banging the weight stack on the way down. So the cue of control descent reminds the lifter to control every phase of the rep. For the standing barbell calf raise, for the setup, grab the bar evenly and stand with your feet slightly closer than shoulder width apart, unrack and step back. For the upward phase, standing straight up with your knees close to lockout, press through the toes, allowing the heel to come off the ground until fully on your tippy toes. For the downward phase, control the eccentric by allowing the foot to dorsiflex, and the rep ends once your heel returns to the ground. For breathing, breathe in and hold through the upward phase and exhale during the downward phase. Repeat this for all reps. For the biomechanics, this occurs in the sagittal plane and the ankles go through plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. Muscles used are the gastrocnemius and the soleus. No spotters needed for this exercise. 3 cues for the standing barbell calf raise. The first is pause at the top. Wait a second at the top of contraction. The second is knees straight. Make sure that the only movement comes from your ankles or the foot. And the third is upright. Keep the torso upright and straight. 3 sources of error from this exercise. The first is going too quickly and bouncing. So the cue of pause at the top slows the reps down. The second is knees bending and it's starting to kind of squat the weight up a little bit instead of just calf raising it, making it similar to like a push press. So the cue of knees straight prevents that and makes the only movement coming from the desired muscles. And the third sources of error is slightly leaning forward, causing strain on your lower back. So the cue of upright keeps the body upright and prevents this error from occurring. For the abdominal crunch machine, for the setup, sit on the machine with your feet behind the pads, chest on the pad, and grabbing the handles. For the downward or forward phase, Pressing the chest into the pad, curl the torso forward towards your knees. For the upward phase, control the eccentric by allowing your torso to extend back to the starting position. For the breathing, breathe in and hold through the downward phase and exhale through the upward phase. Repeat this for all reps. For the biomechanics, this occurs in the sagittal plane with the spine going through flexion and extension. The muscles used are the rectus abdominis. No spotter is needed for this exercise. The 3 cues. The first is don't swing. Have a smooth concentric to work the abs. The second is don't pull. Use your abs to move the weight, not your hands pulling the bar lower. And the third is have a slight lower back bend. Don't overflex the lower back. The 3 errors commonly seen with this. The first is rapid swinging to complete reps. So the cue of don't swing prevents this. The second is don't pull the pad down with your hands. So the cue of don't pull prevents this as well. And the third source of error is using your hip flexors to flex the spine. So the cue of just a slight lower back bend prevents your hip flexors from taking over and helps your main mover become the rectus abdominis. For the curl up, lie on your back with your knees bent and your arms crossed across your body. For the upward phase, flex the neck to move your chin towards your chest and curl your torso towards your thighs until the upper back comes off the ground. For the downward phase, uncurl your torso and control the descent until your back is back to the starting position on the ground. For the breathing, breathe in and hold through the upward phase and exhale during the downward phase. Repeat this for all reps. For the biomechanics, this occurs in the sagittal plane and your spine goes through flexion and extension. Muscles used for this exercise are the rectus abdominis, and no spotters needed for this exercise. The cues. The first cue is shoulder blades up. Once they come off the ground, then go back down. The second is feet down. Reminder to keep your feet on the ground during all reps. And the third is chest up to prevent rounded shoulders, which could put strain on your neck. 3 sources of error from this exercise. The first is lifting too high, getting the torso off the ground. So the cue of shoulder blades up helps the lifter to know when to come back down when a rep is done. The second source of error is feet lifting up, which makes the hip flexors take over. So the cue of feet down ensures that the hip flexors are taken out of the equation. And the third is rounded shoulders. So the cue of chest up prevents the rounded shoulders and possible strain on your neck.